A lot of people found us after we made the real costs of world schooling for a family of 4 video. After that, we made a video about how we afford world schooling for the long term. The income, the trade-offs, and the system. There's a more important question almost no one asks us before they start trying this. Should you even do this at all? World schooling isn't just about the money. It's about how your family handles uncertainty, work, education, and emotional load. And the truth is, this lifestyle is not for every family. This video isn't about convincing anyone. It's about being honest before you uproot your life.
We almost didn't make this video. It's much easier to talk about what works than what's hard, especially online. But big life decisions deserve the full picture, not just a highlight reel. Trying world schooling without understanding the trade-offs doesn't just cost money. It can cost your peace, your relationships, and your stability. So let's start with the first thing that makes or breaks this lifestyle for most families. World schooling only works if your family can learn to tolerate uncertainty. And I don't mean liking adventure. I mean being okay when plans change, even after you've done everything right. Housing falls through, travel plans shift, and kids might react differently than you'd expect. If unpredictability immediately puts your nervous system into overdrive, this lifestyle can feel really exhausting instead of freeing. And that uncertainty doesn't stop at logistics. It shows up in how you work as well.
For example, when we're world schooling in Bocas del Toro, Panama, that island experiences very frequent power outages. You'd be planning on working from home, and then immediately you'd have to pivot, find a coffee shop with working internet that you could take a Zoom call on. Not a deal breaker, but can be moderately stressful if you need something reliable each day. What this requires is just a shift in expectations. We know day to day we're not going to have the reliable office style or home internet that we had back home, but we're ready to pivot when that time comes. World schooling doesn't remove work pressure. In some ways, it actually makes work harder. Time zones don't care that you're traveling. Meetings still exist, and deadlines still exist. So if you have a job that requires rigid hours, constant availability, or peak productivity every single day, this lifestyle is going to add a lot of friction that you need to be ready for. When we did Boundless Life in Portugal, the time change versus the US meant you pretty much had the mornings off, but you had to work later in the afternoon and into the evening. Again, this trade-off was totally doable, but you had to be prepared mentally to work later and have the mornings off.
World schooling does not look like traditional school. There's less external structure, more instability, and more responsibility on the parents than most people expect. So if you need a clearly defined curriculum, set hours, and someone else providing the structure, this lifestyle can feel pretty overwhelming quickly. Progress just looks differently, and you have to be comfortable with that. I used to think that a structured curriculum was the best way of learning, but now I've realized that where a child learns matters just as much as what they learn. So we predominantly emphasize outdoor learning because we see that our boys have improved focus, and it allows them space for creativity and curiosity, which are really important to us. It also gave us the time and space to observe what non-linear learning looks like, which can come in spurts, and progress might not always be immediately visible. So for example, our older son was always very hesitant to draw or write. And then one day he asked for a piece of paper and markers, and he started drawing. I learned in that moment that what he needed most was time and space to process learning that skill at his own pace, and not some preconceived notion of when and where he should be learning that. This lifestyle increases togetherness and reduces buffers. You're with your kids more, and you have less personal space. You also don't have the same support systems that you might be used to. That can be incredibly connecting and incredibly heavy. If your family relies on lots of external support to stay regulated, this life asks more of you emotionally than you might expect. None of this means that world schooling is bad. It just means that it requires a certain kind of self-awareness.
For me, the personal space thing is big. It has been a transition to not have a work, office, and home life. The way I've managed that has been creating my own office. We mostly work from coffee shops when the kids are at school, so we still have that work and home divide, and we have been able to find just as much childcare and babysitting as we would back home. That's the way we manage the emotional load to make sure we're not doing too much. Logistically, the emotional load increases for me as you're always having to think ahead. So we travel 3 months in one place. That means we have to plan every 3 months. Where are we going to be? What's the school going to look like? Are we traveling with other families? So we try to plan out a good 6 to 12 months so we have some time to breathe. It's not really the doing, it's really all the thinking that you cannot turn off.
And for me, the emotional load of staying regulated was something that was heavier than I expected. This also increases my tolerance for my kids' big emotions and learning how to handle their pushbacks, tantrums, and even boredom.
These aren't reasons not to world school. They're reasons to decide intentionally. If some of these things are deal breakers for your family, it's a good time to pause. But if they're trade-offs you think you can accept, this life can be incredibly rewarding.
If this video made you pause, that's actually a good thing. Big life decisions deserve more than excitement. They deserve real information.
This is a great point for you and your family to start asking the questions to each other. What if? Could we do X and Y? If things went badly, what would it look like? Start from there, and you'll have a pretty clear picture how close or how far away this could be for you. Any questions? Ask us in the comments. The next thing to understand is how families actually make this sustainable. We've already shared the long-term cost of world schooling with family and how we afford it for the long term.
Those videos walk you through the systems that make this life sustainable, not just the idea. If you're seriously considering this life, that's the next place to go.
We'll link these videos here, not to convince you, but to give you the real information so you can start asking the right questions as a family.